Schwab in the lineup?
My boys, they're 8th grade, so I can talk about them, right, Jim? Well, I could tell you this, and I'm not getting ahead of myself on my boys, but I'm never going to coach against my sons. So that gives them, to me, that gives them one place that they're going to go to school. And I don't know, maybe they're not. Hopefully they keep loving the sport and wanting to wrestle in the sport. They're getting better at it, and it's, for me, I got to take my son. He went Super 32 last weekend, and I kind of reminded our team of, man, go thank your dad for all those times that they took you to an event. And what I'm trying to remind them of is that it's way beyond the matches. It's not the results. It's all the in-between moments. That, just being able to sit there with my son and talk to him and get to see how, hey, he lost a match and then his heart's ripped out, and then he's willing to step back up and stand on his own 2 feet and get back out there again and chase it again. That is a great thing. And that's why I love wrestling. That's why I love the sport. So, and a whole host of other reasons. But yeah, hopefully we got a few years before we see a Schwab. A Doug, I don't know, there's not a lot of Dougs out there. But I know, you talk about those 35 guys, there's 35 names on that sheet that are making a difference in our program and that are ready to go score a whole bunch of points, and they got some goals that they've set for their team, and they're going to hold each other accountable to it, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure that those things happen. Well, I'm huge on loyalty. People that have been there from the start, and man, I don't forget. And that doesn't mean that we don't want more people on board. I'm not saying that, because I'm like, but the people from day one. The day ones, man, they got a special place in that heart. And we got some day ones that they're still sitting in the same seats in the West Gym. That's pretty incredible. We got some day ones that unfortunately aren't here with us anymore. And we got some day ones that have our back no matter what. And to me, that's what's most important, is that no matter what, that what their concern is those student athletes, those guys, that they're getting cared for, that they're becoming better men. Yeah, we want to win, and dude, I'm as competitive as anybody. I'm competitive in everything. But I talked about substance, and that's why when people get around our program and they see our guys, and they see how they interact with the fans, and they see that they're approachable, and that, man, it's important to them how they represent the program, that's why people get involved and want to be involved and stay involved. And that's why they stay involved for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. But yeah, to the day ones, man, we love you all, and anyone else that wants to come on board, because we'd love to have you. But I'm going to tell you, once you get on board, stay on board, because that's a little bit, and I'll go with, that's a little bit how I am. You get on board, stay on board. We love you, and we'll have your back, you have ours. And we got a lot of fans like that.
When will we know?
Good question. I mean, I've heard that they want to get it. They want to get it fairly soon, but I think that's a tough thing with no one competing yet. And you know how much even a lineup can change and a team can change, and all of a sudden you go to you go to Vegas and you're like, well, this guy beat this guy and this guy. Now this guy, he wasn't even seeded coming into the year or ranked, and now he's the guy's 5th in the country. So I mean, to know and decide now, I think on that lineup, I know it probably makes it better for fans, but the teams that are going to be down there, and that those guys are going to match up somewhere. I know that Iowa and Penn State are going to be on opposite sides. That's about all I know right now. And I don't really care, because I know those teams are going to be down there along with a host of other teams. And we're going to get an opportunity to potentially be in a pool with one of those. Great. Doesn't matter. Like, we want to seek out the best competition, yeah. And there's only a few places that a few of those teams go to that we even have an opportunity to get in front of them. And that's not calling them out. That's just, hey, let's see where we're at with these guys. That's what our team needs. That's what we want.
Are you excited to go down? It's a Florida around Christmas time, Destin. Obviously you're going down to compete. It's not a vacation, I know, but it's not a lot of time you get to wrestle in a warm environment.
I could care less about that. It doesn't matter where their competition is. Like, I know that maybe it's great for the fans and maybe our guys, they get some sun on their face, so that's great. I can tell for me then now, my wife's she's parlayed that into, we need to go to Disney. We're close to it, and I think we're still, I'm looking, it's 7 hours away. I'm like, that's not close. But anyway, I understand what they're trying to do. I mean, hopefully they get a lot of fans down there. Hopefully, everyone in the dang country is buying a subscription to Rockfin and are going to watch it, because I think duels are very important to the future of our sport. I think duels are something that you can package and man, people can watch and be like, that was awesome. And you can get into, I mean, the ups and downs, and I mean, a dual meet, man, the twists and turns in a dual meet, the swings, the energy. I mean, even just seeing how excited your fans and team get. I mean, you got 10 opportunities and you're going to be up like you're up and down. There's nothing like it. So I'm glad that they're getting it going again. I'm excited to be part of it. Said I don't care really who we wrestle, when we wrestle, where it is. Like there's certain opportunities that you get, and you got to try to take advantage of it. Now for us, our team, we got to go down there and compete and win. And then if you win your pool, then obviously you got a chance to wrestle some of those other teams that we're talking about. So that's on us to do that. Guy's a great competitor. I mean, he competes and he'll throw the kitchen sink at you. I think even you think about his first match, I think it was 10-9 or 9-8 after the first period. I think that was a little bit of what it's going to be like. And for him, it was really his first season. I know, heck, he got out to Penn State, he wrestled a couple times, and then he never got through a season. There was a lot of question marks. There was a lot of even just mental things. And, I don't, if anyone's been around a guy in his first year, I mean, the length of the season, the battles, the mental battles that you're going through. Hey, maybe winning a match and feeling good about it, and then not getting too high, and then all of a sudden you're beat, and then, oh man, being able to ride that. Kind of talk about a wave, like being able to ride that and help them ride that. But he got better throughout the year, and obviously, yeah, I mean, you come back to center with 17 seconds left, up 2 points. I mean, yeah, he was that close to being in the semifinals, and then you're in the semifinals, you don't know what's going to happen, but it's all about what you do moving forward, right? And there's some areas that he needed to spend some time in working, and we're continuing to reinforce those and get better. But I think he's ready to get back out competing again. We still got a few weeks, but man, to say that I wasn't excited for him to come home and be part of our program, no, man, I was so excited for it. And so excited to see him in how he's going to go about this next year and the next year and the next year. But I think just a lot of question marks in his mind got squashed. And the only way to figure some of those things out is to go through the season. And you saw how he competed. And I know that there's a lot more left on the table, and he's not going to leave that national tournament again walking out. Kind of like I talked about that group of 6 guys. Every one of them, they sat and talked, and they're like, I'm leaving here with something different next year. And like I said, it's okay. That's going to be from now until then. What are we going to do? And guys have done a great job. And now we just got to continue to remind them of that. And so hopefully they'll listen to this and they'll be reminded of it.
Had big jump for 5 or 6. What's it like to have brothers inside the room?
Well, I had my brother inside the room for quite a few years. There was almost a few knockdown dragouts, but you know what? Man, there's sibling bond. Come on. I mean, these guys know each other. They know how to push each other's buttons, but also they know that they have each other's back. And we talk about being a family, and that's actually a true family. And I think I would tell you that there's probably some guys that they almost feel closer to their teammate maybe than they feel in their brother. And I think that's what's hopefully gets created through the sport, but what we're creating in that room. But man, I love having brothers. I love having families because you start to know the family that they come from and the people and how they're raised, and it's not really a surprise when they get here. Like, man, this guy is a gritty, tough SOB, and he will put everything he can into it. I know how he's been raised. I know how he'll take care of school. I know the type of teammate he'll be. And I know each brother is different, but man, when you have that background, it certainly helps. And I don't know. I mean, it just brothers, twins, whatever, man. We'll take them all. We'll take them all when they meet within kind of what we're looking for. Because recruiting. And I was actually I'm not gonna name a recruit I was talking to last night, but heck, we only have a handful of guys that we're recruiting. We're trying to pinpoint guys for a reason because we feel like they fit into what we are. We feel like they fit into being a coachable, being gritty and being selfless, and those are the things that we look for. And we find those things like we have to get this guy. Yeah, he can wrestle too, but he's going to add to our culture, and he's going to reinforce our culture, and he's going to build us higher and stronger and better. So I know I get off topic. I know because that wasn't what you're talking about. But I get to be in somebody's home and I see how they're raised, and like, it's a no-brainer that we're going to get your brother. He hasn't done this or that. I don't care. What's he going to do within his 5 years here? Where's he going to be when he leaves? That's what I'm more concerned with. So. She said no, that will never happen. She's tough though. I'm going to tell you, she's tough. She got a real strong front headlock. She almost choked me out one time. And I'm not sure if that was, I probably deserved it, but like she kind of put me in underneath her, and then I'm like, oh, you're kind of joking around, right? And then she started to clamp on. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to really work out of this thing. And then I'm like,
fight hands or what?
I ended up having to fight hands. Yeah, I'm not very proud of it. I mean, she almost put me down, but she didn't quite put me out. If she wanted to wrestle, she could be pretty dang good. But you know, I think that's a great opportunity. I mean, you know, and I've listened to what Beck has talked about, just not having that opportunity. But I think just women's wrestling in general right now, the opportunities that are in front of these girls. You know, the state of Iowa, heck, you know, we've had 2 programs in the last month that have started it. Yeah, it's awesome, man. And you know, I get 2 little girls, and I want them to have those opportunities. If I think about the things that my boys learn through the sport and what I feel like our athletes, our guys learn from the sport, why wouldn't I want that for my daughters too? You know, I mean, if I think it's an incredible sport and the things that it teaches you, that's not just for guys. And I think we're really realizing that in the sport women's wrestling is going to flourish, but wrestling in general is going to flourish because, you know, those 2 things are coming together, and the opportunities are only going to continue to increase. So, you know, I'm excited for her. I know she's wanted to have that competition and get that opportunity for a long time, and I know she's going to make the most of it, enjoy it, and you know, it's a dream realized. And you know, sometimes Twitter and people talk, and you know what I mean. That's what this is. I'm just talking right now too, and talk kind of gets old after a while. But you know, you don't have to respond to people either. You don't have to read the comments. But you know, when you're going after something, you believe in something, man. Nobody or anything anyone says can get you off that, and I think that's where she's at. You know, I'm excited for her, and I know I'll be watching and wish her the best.
Coach, you kind of got a long history of this.
You know, you watch weigh-ins a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you certainly, as you see guys kind of manage their weight and those things, and certainly something we'll talk about with guys. You know, ideally guys have it in a manageable spot, and they're not doing this because that's hard. It's hard to be consistent in your performance when you're doing that. You know, we were kind of one way in a week, you know, last year. So yeah, there's some things that we'll take from it, and you know, all of the guys. We had a pretty young team. We have everyone back, obviously, like everyone else does, but they didn't have a full season. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I want to start a little bit later, because I don't want them to like, holy cow, we're just getting to start of January, and it feels like we already been through a season, because that's what they know. So yeah, we're starting a little bit later, and if we have to manage some weigh-ins, then we will for guys. I want our guys to be able to step up for our team every time if we need them. And the great thing is we have some really quality depth where, you know, if this guy can't go, then you know what, this guy's going to step in, and if I'm that guy stepping in, I'm gonna make it so coach has to think twice. You know, okay, I get my opportunity, I'm going to knock it out of the park and be like, well, you know what? You better get your weight under control, because this guy, I'm going to have to give him the dang spot. You know, so hopefully guys never feel at ease. You know, they always got a little bit of heat on their seat where I'm not going to ever give that chance, that crack or that opening. But I think the shorter season, it was a little too short last year, but the shorter season is going to serve us well.
Now, we got Becca Roper tomorrow.
Kinds of them. If I think about how I started, I'd be like, man, there wouldn't be 35 guys on our team right now. I can tell you that, if I kept at the pace that I was going. But understand that you can't come in soft. You can't come in soft and then like I'm gonna hammer you. Like, you got to come in hard, and then you can always back off and make judgments and figure things out. I think that the greatest thing is I got a great staff that challenges me. But for me, it's not going to be, well, I just always done it this way. I think that's a trap that guys can fall into. Like, I'm stubborn, yes, I am, and I have certain beliefs that will stand the test of time, yeah. But for me, always learning every year, and like I said, to me, re-upping every year means I'm going to learn from last year. And I think last year, okay, we learned that maybe we don't need as many competitions. Maybe we can start a little bit later and still have guys prepare for the national tournament. Okay, maybe more training time is actually a really good thing. Okay, but it's what we put into that training time. Okay, getting our guys that now they're the ones that are setting the tone. They're the ones that are setting the standard. You know, I don't know. I've learned a lot, and I'll continue to learn. I mean, it'll never be perfect, but we'll continue to strive to get the most out of each athlete. And so that means that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of time put into these guys. It's a lot of one-on-one time. It's not just about everything's blanket the same. Like, we have a standard, but for each individual, man, to get the most out of each individual, we have to know them. And that takes time. It takes energy. But I think there's some big things I've learned that not everyone has to train like I did. There's some elements of it, but take the things that I've learned, and I'm not going to train everyone exactly the same. So, and that's going to continue to adjust throughout my time.
Now it sounds like from the season.
I mean, injuries are part of wrestling, unfortunately. How you can manage some of those things, and obviously being dinged up is one thing, and being able to manage it's another. It's catastrophic injuries. Sometimes I mean ACLs. Heck, we had a guy a few years ago that he tore his ACL and he still placed in the national tournament. So guys can do some incredible things. I think for us, like I said, I think we're learning how to manage these guys better. We're push them and make sure that they're prepared, but being able to control some of those things. The other day we're on a bike hammering away, maybe instead of being late into a wrestling, or hey, maybe we're not running stairs, we're doing some other things that I think can lessen some of that impact maybe on them. But training, you still have to train. You have to train hard. You have to train long. You have to be able to be focused when you're fatigued. And there's only one way to do that, and that is to push guys. So yeah, I think guys feel good right now, and knock on wood that they feel good. But when you're looking at a 4-month season, to think that you're not going to have some nicks and bruises, and when I tell guys, even when they go through some of those practices and they don't feel perfect, it's like you could be at that point at the national tournament, and you got to remember that, and you got to be able to manage that and not let it get the best of you, because a lot of times this thing is what. So I'm not answering your question because I'm not going to talk about specific injuries for the most part. Runyon had a couple surgeries. Yeah, he's on the mend right now. We have most of our guys are out in the room and they're not on a bike. I like when that bike room is pretty wide open. I'm a big fan of that. I don't like it when I go out in there and there's 5 or 6 guys hammering around on the bike. I like it a lot more when they're out on the wrestling mat because they need to get better at wrestling. Yeah, I think we continue to learn how to manage these guys, but some of those injuries, they're catastrophic in the fact that you can't control them. I think we can control things as much as we can in training, and that's what we try to do.
What is Jacob Holschlag's status?
He's done with his wrestling career. There comes a point where you have to make a decision on quality of life with certain things. He's still around our team in the room. He's in grad school right now, and he'll have his master's degree after this year. But he's a huge asset to our program. But a guy that, hopefully everyone looks at him. And it was really easy last year because the 2020 class, all that thing was right in front of you because you're like, man, look at what these guys lost. It was very easy to be reminded of that. Now you can look over at him and be like, things don't always go as you plan them. But now how you move forward, how you manage that, how the impact that you can have can still be incredible, even beyond how many points you scored in a national tournament. Every guy that we have is valuable. We got 35 of them on our roster. Every single guy is valuable no matter how many points they score at a national tournament. And he's guys that illustrates that as much as anybody, that he's done and he's still giving back and he's still figuring out a way to make our program better. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's certainly not how he would have drawn up the end of his career, but sometimes you become at peace with those things, and he's at peace with that. He's probably more at peace with it than some of his coaches are. And that's okay, man, as long as he is. Yeah.
Here, West Gym, and then you're going to go to the rack. Looks like the Yankees and the Red Sox settled that.
He had to do 10 anytime push-ups. I saw him at Super 32, and he was like, I'm like, hey, you got 10 push-ups, and he's kind of looking at me like, really? I'm like, yeah, really. He's like, well, we're coming out to wrestle. That's not enough. I said, you said any push-ups, and they weren't very good. So hopefully he sees this. His push-ups were not very good. And actually, I got another guy in here, KJ. KJ owes me some too. I'm not gonna make him pay up today, but I can tell you that I still owe Cale Happel about 340 of them, because he's a Browns fan, which I don't understand how you could ever be a Browns fan, and I'm a Steelers fan, and we're on the way home from our first tournament or first duels last year, and that game's on, and the Browns score right away, and then they score again, and I'm like, you know what, double it. I don't care. I believe in the Steelers that much, and I still owe them those push-ups. So, but it makes me stronger. But yeah, I look forward to getting those guys. Obviously, they have a great environment, out there from what I've seen, and another team that you certainly want to be able to get on the schedule anytime we can get Big Ten. And I know it gets tough with some of the Big Ten teams just from the parameters of their schedule. So you kind of got to go early November or maybe late February, and it's hard to get them through that January and early February. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be pretty cool to get that going. And I'm glad the Red Sox won. I still think they're the best team, but they'll just have to prove that next year.
Coach, as of late,
I do this every year. I'm like, I don't have an opening statement, but I do. I got a lot to say. Got a lot to talk about with this team and this group. Obviously, it's great having everyone back in the West Gym. A lot of uncertainty last year. We got a lot more certainty this year as far as what our schedule is going to be, how it's going to move forward. I can tell you we learned a lot from last year, just how to prepare our guys and get them ready. I want to make sure this is about your last assignment, right, Nelson? So appreciate you, good seeing you. We're going to miss having Jim Nelson around the West Gym and just UNI Athletics and UNI Wrestling. So we're going to miss him, but appreciate everything that he's done for us. I'm sure you'll still come back, right? All right, I appreciate it. And I get all over the place, man. I'm kind of like squirrel, and the squirrel's over here, and then I'll loop back around to what I started with in our team and where we're at. And I think we had six guys that went to the national tournament for the first time last year. 5 of those guys won matches. The one guy was injured and obviously didn't get to wrestle, but there wasn't a single guy that didn't leave that building. And I remember we had a meeting after, as the placing matches are going on, and guys are watching guys that they had beat. And I remember every single one of those guys, you could see it in their eyes, like, I will come back with something different. And my response to them is, okay, so what's going to change between now and then? What are we going to do between now and then? That is really what's going to be and really dictate if you're going to sit in the stands and watch on Saturday or if you're going to be wrestling on Saturday. And, as a group, we've done a hell of a job. Been very, very pleased with the work that's been done from spring, summer, fall. And now I don't want to pat these guys on the back too much because I don't want them to, oh, yeah, we're there. We're not there. And the thing is, I don't think we'll ever be there, especially when we're trying to become the best version of ourselves. We're trying to get the most out of these guys. There's always going to be another level to it. The great thing is right now is we have some team leaders they're leading the charge. You got a guy like Parker, who got third last year as a freshman. You guys got to remember he lost his wrestle-off match. He lost his wrestle-off match, and he didn't blink. He didn't flinch. He went back to work. And from day one, that guy to me has been the blueprint of here's what you do. You do a little bit more each day, and then you do a little bit more each day, and then you stack it each day up on top of each other, and you keep stacking those up, and then all of a sudden guys are like, well, where'd this guy come from? Like, dude, he's been here the whole time. And we knew that from the start, but man, just seeing it, and then you start seeing other guys that, okay, man, I'm going to take that torch, so to speak, and I'm going to raise it higher. And that's what he's doing. That's what him and Yant, we got our 2 captains. Those are our 2 captains. They're 2 captains for a reason, because of how they live, how they train, how they go about their work every day, not once in a while and when they feel like it, it's every day. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a difference in these guys' lives. We're trying to get them that whatever they take through the sport, they're going to be able to take it and use it beyond. But we have a limited time in we have a limited time for these guys to reach some of these goals that they have. And, Saturday we had a captain-led practice, and I know they got together and they put some goals on paper. They have some things that they want to do as a group. And now my job is to hold them accountable to that. And so that means that the standard is set really high, incredibly high. And they've raised the standard, and that, to me, that excites me as a coach. So, everyone's going to want to, hey, well, what about this guy, and what about the lineup? I don't know right now. We got a couple opens to start to lead us off, and that'll really kind of dictate our lineup going into the Missouri and Virginia Tech, and then those collegiate duels and those things. But to say I'm not excited about the amount of work that guys have put in and the purposeful, focused work that guys have put in, man, it's as good as I've had since I've been here. So that's exciting, but even as good as it's been, it can always be better. And, we're going to see it when we compete. Our guys are prepared and ready. And, we still got a few weeks. And, I kind of went back to last year, and the thing that we learned last year is that I think a little bit more training time is a good thing. I think starting our season a little bit later is not a bad thing. We're not starting until the 3rd week in November, and some teams start right away. And to me, I'm gonna push it back a little bit. Get these guys really, to me, more chomping at the bit, excited. They're watching other guys wrestling, like, Coach, I can't wait to wrestle. And that's the way I want them, where they cannot wait, because that's kind of where we were last year. We got to January and we got to compete for the first time, and guys were like, Coach, man, I just couldn't wait to compete. And so we got to be able to keep that. There were some things that were taken away, and I won't let our guys ever forget that. and they just got to be grateful for each opportunity they get, man. And as I sit and watch these guys and I look at those guys over there, excited to lead these guys into battle. And the great thing is I know I got a coaching staff right beside me. I know I got that group of guys in front of me, and they're like kind of wild dogs, ready to run. But I got to kind of hold them back because it's not quite time. But I'm excited about where we're at. And I mentioned a few guys. I mean, Parker's obviously, he's a guy that's easy to mention, and not because of how he placed last year. You know, I think it's our first freshman that's got third, since like the 50s. You know, so to me now that sets up the next freshman. Not that it's going to be easier, but that, hey, you can do it. You know, we had a national champion finally, and now these guys are like, heck, I'm going to be the next guy. They saw how it was done, the blueprint's there. And now it's following the blueprint even when you don't feel like it, even when it's not right in front of you. You have faith and trust in those things that Coach is telling you. And I know we do as a group, and we're just going to continue to build that deeper and deeper. And you know, the kind of any time, any place, anywhere, anybody, yeah, we will wrestle anybody. We look forward to it. I mean, we're going down to some duels because there's some teams that we hope we get a chance to wrestle down there. And we'll keep chasing people around. And our job is to be ready and prepared and score more points at the national tournament, the Big 12 tournament. And I know we'll have our guys ready. And like I said, I'm excited, and more than anything, I'm excited for you guys to be able to talk with these guys. And get to see their personality and see who they are and see what they add to this team, man, because we got 35 guys that are all pulling in one direction, and that's a really powerful thing. So, I guess any questions?
How cool is it to be having this?
You know I love the West Gym. There's a romance with this building. There is a serious romance with this building, and anybody that's went through, I mean, you know it. I mean, you can feel it. Like there's some character in here, and you can feel it, and all the things that have come before. But just having guys back together, and you know, you guys are nice and close, and you know, that's kind of the West Gym environment. Everyone's packed in and nice and close. But yeah, to say that I'm not looking forward to when we get back in here, I mean, I am. Heck, there's a few venues, and you really think about it, there's a handful of venues in wrestling, in the wrestling world. There's a handful of venues, that's it. There's a handful of venues in the wrestling world that people talk about, and this is one of them. So to me, that's special. So yeah, so anytime we get an opportunity to be in here, man, I never take it for granted. I love it every single time. And I know our guys do too, and I know our fans do. And man, I get to come to work in here every day, man. I love this building, and you guys know that. We got a lot of work to do before that, but you know, this is a place that is special to a lot of people.